want to play a clip from Tuesday night's debate from ABC's David Muir, and then we'll move into our next segment here. Let's play the clip, please.
Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime.
Wow, what an exchange there, not between the president and who he was there to debate, Vice President Harris, but David Muir with ABC News, contradicting a statement that the president said, and the president hitting back. But according to the Department of Justice data that was released yesterday, national crime rates remain elevated. They remain elevated under the Biden administration. They are unchanged from the year before, and they are significantly higher than in 2020, which was, of course, the final year of the Trump administration. So who is the one here that needs the fact checking? Well, let's talk about it. Just joining me now is John Lott. He's the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. John, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, so there's a consistent White House and legacy media narrative that somehow the Biden administration has lowered crime. But, I mean, just shoot straight with us. What's the facts with all this?
Well, there are two different measures that the Department of Justice has of crime. There's the FBI data on crimes reported to police. But we know most crimes aren't reported to police. So about 50 years ago, they set up something called the National Crime Victimization Survey done by the Bureau of Justice Statistics to try to get a measure of total crime, both reported and unreported. So we know like about 40% of violent crimes are reported to police, that about 30% of property crimes are reported to police. And the way we know that is from the National Crime Victimization data. And what you find is that over the last few years, while the number of crimes that the FBI has that are reported to police has gone down, the total crimes, both reported and unreported, has soared. During the Biden administration, total violent crimes, rape, robbery, aggravated assaults, has gone up by 55%. That's compared to a 15% drop that occurred during the Trump administration. Rapes have gone up 42%. Robberies gone up 63%. Aggravated assaults have gone up 55%. Those are huge increases that have occurred. And,
all right, let me step in right there. I want to make sure that I heard you. I don't want to, excuse me for interrupting. I want you to continue. But you said violent crimes are up 55% under the Biden administration compared to a drop of 15% under the Trump administration?
That's correct.
Wow. Continue. Excuse me. Thank you for letting me interrupt you there.
Sure. No, I mean, look, we know that the rate that crimes are reported to police has fallen, at least according to the FBI data. And if you look at the FBI data alone, there's a good reason for that. And that is law enforcement in this country, particularly in large cities, has collapsed. You look at cities over 1 million, for example. In the 5 years before COVID, 44% of violent crimes, reported violent crimes, result in arrest. By 2022, they had fallen to 20% of reported violent crimes. That's over a 50% drop. You had an even larger drop in arrests for property crimes in those cities. Arrests for property crimes had fallen to 4.5% of reported property crimes. We've never seen such low arrest rates since they've been collecting the FBI data for 70 years. What you find is that if you look at total crimes, arrests for total crimes, not just reported crimes, only 8% of total violent crimes result in arrest, and only 1% of total property crimes in those cities result in arrest. And as many people know, just because somebody's arrested doesn't mean that they're going to be charged, let alone prosecuted or convicted. And so for many crimes in large cities, it's true across the country, though, too, these criminals have little reason to fear being caught and punished. And the problem is that when people don't think criminals are going to be caught and punished, they're less likely to report crimes to the police. And so you've seen a drop in the rate that people have reported crimes to the police.
Absolutely, and when they're not punished, the criminals just accelerate their violent behavior. We only got a couple of minutes left, John. I think most everybody really understands that crime is up, regardless of what anyone tries to say. Crime is everywhere, it seems. So, how should voters be thinking about crime as a national issue as we enter into this election cycle?
Well, I think you're right that most people know that it's gone up. If you live in many major cities in the United States and you try to go to a CVS or a Walgreens or a Walmart, in many cases, you're going to see many things behind plexiglass. They know that that wasn't the case a few years ago. If they want to go and buy something, they have to wait for a sales clerk to come out and open the plexiglass and then stand next to them while they go and read the packages to try to determine what it is that they're going to go and buy. People know that the companies don't like doing that. They know that it's very costly for them to do that. They know that they lose sales from having to go and do that. And as I said, we know that that wasn't true a few years ago. But it's not just property crime. It's violent crime across the board that you see these types of increases occurring also. And so, look, Biden and Harris refused to criticize these Soros prosecutors in many places. They're refusing to prosecute violent criminals. Harris herself many times has come out in favor of taking funds away from the police. She was a George Soros prosecutor before there were George Soros prosecutors. And so, people have a good idea where her values are. She doesn't believe that punishing criminals is the way to go and reduce crime.
Wow. John Lott, president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, I want to thank you so much for joining us on Washington Watch. Extremely valuable information you brought to the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much.